Hey guys, welcome to the Powerful Man Show, where we help married businessmen save their marriages without having to talk about it, get unstuck, and gain clarity in their lives. As I like to say, life is too short for average. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Now let's get this started. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I've got a massage in an hour.
Living the dream, baby. Living the dream.
90-minute hot oil Thai massage.
Oh, sounds amazing. Sounds
It
amazing.
It is. I like to go. I do my best to go once a week, but sometimes it goes to once every 2 weeks. But even still, it's amazing.
Yeah. Did you have to skip that during COVID? Because you were on lockdown during COVID. We're not in lockdown here, but still pretty crazy here in the States.
Yeah, I did for a little bit, and then I just started to go to my friend. Although he does a different type of massage, that's not relaxing. That's myofascial release.
Oh,
That
I've
is
done. I've
like
had that. That's not relaxing at all. Especially
no.
when we get to the IT band.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
stay
no
away from my
oil.
hips.
There's no oil or anything that's used. It literally presses his fingers into your muscle for several seconds until the muscle relaxes, and then obviously his
Yeah.
fingers press further in, and yeah, it's not fun. So yeah, I was having that a bit. Obviously, I started to do a lot of calisthenics and yoga during lockdown, doing a lot of handstand work, which made me tighter. So I had to get something done because I was just in quite a bit of, I say, pain. I've got a high pain threshold, but
I bet you do, man. I bet you do.
yeah,
That's what
but this
makes you
place,
Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews, not just Tim Matthews.
yeah, exactly.
I got kids playing in the background. Trains are running through. So let's rock and roll. But Tim, you had a topic that you wanted to throw on the table, and I'm curious what it is.
Yeah. So there's something that I've come to realize with the men that we work with and the men that we speak to, and the double-edged sword of being a business owner, right, is that often it's a major part of who they are, a big source of fulfillment for the guys.
Yep.
However, it can often turn into a real source of pain as well. And often that pain occurs when they start to lose themselves in the business, and the business becomes who they are. And so much of their identity becomes about the business. And if it's doing well, then they're happy. If it's not, then they're sad. And it's a reflection of them as a success or a failure. And the mood can often be as up and down as the business is, right? And then obviously they take that into other areas of their life. And if the business isn't doing as well and they're upset, then they often don't work out and health suffers. And, you get the gist, the picture. And, I'm sure you guys do too listening. Now, the thing with this as well is that as the guys get sucked into this cycle, and it happens slowly, the business taking over their life, but them letting the business take over their life for the most part, and losing who they are, and losing their passions and their hobbies and their interests, and just the texture and richness of who they used to be that attracted the wife in the first place, right, and gave them enjoyment and fulfillment in life. And part of this as well that as this happens, they lose space, right? That they let go of everything, becomes about work for the most part, or marriage and kids. So there's no space in their life, and they stop doing something that was really key in the beginning, but also something that, in my opinion, is absolutely key to being able to live a happy, fulfilling, and free life. And that's imagining. They stop giving themselves time and space to be and just imagine.
Is it imagining or dreaming?
Either, whatever. Whatever. Whatever you want to call it. Same thing.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Daydreaming, imagining, whatever. Just that space to just sit and be and just let your mind wander to that vision that you see for yourself, that vision that you have about how you're living. And, often that's quite clear in the beginning. And then as the business takes off and they stop giving themselves space to do this, they start to forget why they did it in the first place. And they start to lose touch with that vision, whatever it is, how you want to live, whether it's lifestyle. But it's also really important, like I say, in living a really fulfilling life, that your life has texture and variety and change and richness, which can come through business to a degree if you're launching new projects and products and things like that. But for the most part, it's going to come from what you do outside of business too, right? We spoke about creative outlets on, I think the one, was it the last one or the one before? It was the last one, wasn't it? So yeah, a key part of this is the concept of, like I say, imagining. And in order for you to do something, you've got to first see yourself doing it, right? You've got to see it in your mind's eye first.
Yep.
That's accepted, right? We all accept that. So it's no wonder if the guys come to us and they're in this space where they feel like their life's falling apart for whatever reason, be it the marriage or the business is in whatever position it is. And if they're not giving themselves any space to actually imagine, because they've stopped imagining, then by default, they've stopped seeing themselves living a certain way. So by default, they're going to get off track, like in fitness, right? If you want to improve your fitness or you want to be really enjoying your fitness, you first got to see yourself enjoying it. You first got to tune into, well, what does that look like? If my fitness is something that is really important to me and that feels true for me, then what does that look like? How do I exercise? How do I eat? What does body feel like when I'm in that space? How do I move? How often am I active? What does it look like? Right? And you first got to see it. But if you're not giving yourself any space or time to see it and play with it regularly, it's not enough to just play with it once and then go about the journey and just not play with it again. In my opinion, for me, the times when I tune into it, every day, quite frankly, during my morning routine, I'll tune into this and I'll play with it and I'll imagine it and I'll just tune into how it feels and get excited and celebrate sometimes or whatever. I just tune into how it feels and get really excited. As though it's real, as though I am that person now, living it right now. The mornings that I'm doing that, I go about my day in a very different way to the mornings that I might do everything else in my morning routine but that. And it's, in my opinion, it's absolutely key. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, to prioritize space. We've spoken about thinking time before. And with thinking time, you ponder a certain question or topic. But even this arguably could be classed as thinking time, right? But regardless, it's just that practice of giving yourself space within the day or within the week to just play with that vision and tune into it. And what is it? Because as you live it step by step, it's going to unfold. It's going to unfold. It's going to unfold. But one of the mistakes people make when doing this is they can often get too far ahead of themselves. Let's say I'm wanting to improve my fitness. Well, and let's say I'm 2 stone overweight. Let's say that. Okay, well, I see myself with a 6-pack and I'm ripped and I'm lean. It's too unbelievable. It's too far away from where you are today. So what's just the next step that excites you? Because a fear that I had when I started this process was, okay, but if I imagine myself being a little bit fitter than I am now, then I used to get scared that's where I'd stop and I'd settle. But that's not how it works. When you actually imagine and you keep tuning in and you start achieving that first step, the next step then starts to reveal itself just naturally. And before you know it, you've been consistent for 3 months or 4 months or however long, and You're in a completely different place than you was at the beginning. And you've still got somewhere to go, but you're feeling good about it. And you've been pulled by it versus it being something that you feel like you should do or have to do. So anyway, I've rambled a bit there, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts around this?
Yeah, this is probably my superpower of daydreaming almost. What comes into visionary for business, but in other areas, I love this, and I agree with you 100% that when I am in this state, especially first thing in the morning, it is the catalyst to an amazing day, which is then the catalyst to an amazing week, which is then a catalyst to an amazing month. You get the idea. And there's no secret to this, right? Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, arguably the most known personal development book out there in the world. It's exactly what he talks about. You got to envision, right, what you want. Now, his is a little different than what we're talking about here, because his is you have one vision, you repeat it first thing in the morning, last thing before you go to bed. But you're talking about something much bigger, which I like better, which is the actual embodiment of the vision, right? You're dreaming, you're allowing yourself to escape into this dream. And I think you get to feel it as if it's real, right? You get to feel it as if it's real, whatever that dream is. Like, if you want it to manifest, if you want to dream, just dream. If you want to think about having a six pack, that's great. But I think another thing that, you brought up, which is also important for the guys out there to realize, because if you're saying, look, if you're 30 pounds overweight and you start saying, I'm going to have a six pack, there's a part of your brain that's going, no, you're not. That's not going to happen because it's too far out, right? And to your point. And so you want to do is start imagining, maybe you want a six pack, but going, man, every day I'm going to get stronger and leaner, right? Your brain can go, okay, that's acceptable. I could see that being a possibility. So you're going to get checked by your ego, right? You're going to get checked in there. And the key with doing this type of dreaming, there's actually formulas for this. And I know you know this, Tim, but what you guys want to do is have that dream. And if you have resistance from that dream, right? Maybe it's going to be, I'm going to go running every day, but you haven't gone running. And your body's like, no, you're not. Maybe you could say, I'm going to wake up and put on my running shoes every day. Your mind might say, hey, yeah, that's doable, right? So it's the basic step. Take it back a notch until you don't feel that resistance and move forward with that with consistency. And then you could take it to the next level, right? The six pack can be in your future. But I don't think it means that you can't envision yourself or dream of having a six pack or dream of being the guy who's at the pool party, right? Who's picking the kids up in the pool, jumping in, taking his shirt off, got the ripped six pack and is tossing kids around like no other, catapulting them in the pool, and everybody's having a great time while the other moms and wives are looking on drooling, and the other dads are like around the barbecue drinking beer, wishing that they had that six pack. Now, I know no guy's ever had that desire, right? No guy wants that at all, right? Mm-hmm. But it's making those micro steps, those micro visuals, I think, Tim, that really allows you to get to that big visual, right? But you don't want to lose it, in my opinion. You don't want to lose what you're trying to achieve and what you're going through. I mean, you and I and the team here at The Powerful Man, we've created basically vision boards utilizing Pinterest. You kicked it off and you invited the guys to join in. I actually right now I have two 35-inch monitors, right? They're gigantic. And I have it right up here, right on my side right now is my vision board, that Pinterest one that we were playing with. And the vision that I have, for example, on these boards aren't something that's immediately achievable for me, right? Because they're going to take time. But the more I see this in my mind's eye, it's more the direction I'm going towards, right? We talk about the Alpha Reset going along the road towards Las Vegas and hitting a telephone pole. And I won't give away that whole story. Some people have heard it before. But the idea is you are going to hit what you think about the most and what you visualize the most, right? So what is it that you're spending your time dreaming about, talking about? And if it's nothing, then you're basically going to get whatever the mass media and the people around you are talking about and visualizing for you.
That's the key. If you're just letting yourself be busy and not giving yourself or prioritizing any time, be it in your morning routine or otherwise, to imagine and dream, you're missing out big time. And it's something so easy and simple to do too. Obviously, it's a big part of the Alpha Rise and Shine routine. Um, and a great thing to consider here as well. Let's say the guy with a six pack. Let's just use that example, right? It's not about the six pack, is it? It's about how you are going to feel by having the six pack.
Yep.
So it's about, okay, well, how would I be walking and talking and standing and dressing and feeling if I had the six pack? And then obviously you can start to tune into those emotions and start to be with those now and feel those now, because, well-being comes from well-being, for example. So it's not that, well-being comes from you pushing and then one day you finally are there, because then you'll never be there, because you'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Even if you have the six pack, you'll still keep pushing beyond it because you're chasing something, right? So it's very different to, and I think one of Napoleon Hill's things is beginning with the end in mind. Is that his or Stephen Covey's or
Stephen Covey?
Sure. It's, there's so many similarities between all these, isn't there? So yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to know. I mean, from the most successful people I speak with, they tend to have these kind of practices in place. And sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. They've just kind of set their life up so that they have space and they just spend time. And whether some people do it in the car when they're driving about, some guys will just take off on a drive for a few hours and just be with themselves and just imagine and daydream and, and then have some of the best ideas. Some people do it in the shower. I'd like to do it on my morning walk. I'll sometimes have times during the day when I do it. But, if I've got a day full of meetings or, appointments, coaching call, whatever it is, then I typically won't do it, because obviously I'm in a certain mode. You've got to be in a particular mode for this. You can't be in that do. Let's call it that. You can't be in that mode. It's not a place to imagine from. Hence why first thing on the morning is a good time to do this. Last thing on the night doesn't work well for me because it excites me too much. It really does. It excites me way too much. And the interesting thing about the pin board, it's great because since committing to only putting things on there that I see as my next step, they're all starting to happen bit by bit. I think right now, I'd say 50% of it as I'm living out, which is a great feeling. It's a great feeling to just have that level of, it just breeds confidence, right? When you see yourself and you go to create something, and the imagining piece is such a huge piece.
It is. It really is. And just in this conversation, I find myself, drifting off because I love that idea, right? And this is, the brain waves, the science behind this, which I've learned over the last year, is your theta brain waves kicking in, right? And theta and delta combined is, the scientists would say links to manifestation and tapping into a different source. I would say scientists, well, there are scientists I know that say this. And, when you allow yourself that freedom of flow and that creativity, wherever it is for you, and for most of us, it's doing something kinetic. That's why walking meditation, they call it, or walking for your morning walk, or the shower. The shower is also kinetic because you're actually having that tactile feel of the shower hitting your body, right? While you're drowning out other thoughts. And that's the key, right? When you're in a kinesthetic awareness, you have that cross pattern, and that also triggers this type of creativity and flow. And I think it's super important. I think all of us need to do it. I think a lot of guys, one way to do it, which I know a guy has done this for a long time, no music or audiobooks in the car, ever, period. He drifts off and just allows himself to think and be creative. If you guys are listening to this, do that, except for this podcast, of course, but do that and give it a shot, right? And watch where your mind goes. It's amazing. It's going to go all over the place. And that's such a beautiful thing. And allow it to go all over the place. And watch it really flow and see where it goes and see where it ends up.
I think the caveat there is, in my opinion, is let it go all over the place, but not to get sucked into what you've got to do in that day.
No. Yeah.
This isn't about drifting off about, right, I'm going to call this guy, then I'm going to do that. You get to be disciplined. And if you find yourself going to the day to day versus the imagining, I bet the listeners or anyone, if you're to actually do this consistently, I am very confident that you would avoid or drastically minimize struggle in whichever area you're doing this in. Because the relationship, for example, if you've stopped imagining what you could be in the relationship with your wife, then obviously there's no attention there, as you know, that's just obvious. No focus and attention goes there, right? But also no imagining. So it stays stale, it stays stuck, it stays in the past. Whereas if you actually brought that into your imagining exercise, the type of husband that you would love to be, or how you see yourself being with your wife or your kids, or even the next where you're going to go travel, where you're going to go on holiday, whatever it is, you know, I bet that'd have a very positive effect just without even going into the hidden motives technique and everything else.
Yeah.
Just because by default, like you've said with the whole telephone pole thing, you're going to put focus there too. And it's on your radar. It starts to just appear. And I don't like the word manifest per se, but manifest.
I don't like it either. But that's the thing, right? You become more childlike. When you become more childlike, you become energized, you become more fun, you're more fun to be around, you enjoy yourself better, you get to play, right? And as men, we've lost that play in a lot of ways. You know, I've always said, and it proves when you and I get together, but you put two guys together that are good friends and they turn into 14-year-old boys almost instantly. I've seen it at least 1,000 times, right? Throughout my life of coaching, you know, for the past 20 years, you put a group of men and they start playing. Now they may be just giving each other crap. They may, you do that, but I guarantee if we got a group who you listening to us right now, and the three of us got together and I put a trash can, we're sitting in chairs, I put a trash can in the center, I crumple up a bunch of paper and I put it near each of us, we're going to start throwing it into the trash can to see who can make it, right? It's going to happen. I don't care who you are. You may resist it, but it's going to happen. It's just natural. But we resist that urge to play. We resist that urge to like you're talking about, dream or envision and embody that. And let yourself go to that vision, guys. That's where it gets playful and that's where it gets really fun. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. As soon as we stop this episode, I'm going to go take some time and sit there and dream. I'm actually going to take your idea and go for a walking meditation and enjoy that.
So what are some things that guys can do now? 3 things.
1, schedule the not thinking time, but schedule, you should have thinking time already, but schedule dreaming time, to Tim's point. Schedule that in your calendar, right? Make that a priority. Put that in the brush your teeth category, not the most people's get a massage category. Everybody but you, Tim.
That comes before brushing teeth.
Yeah. But put that in the category of something you do regularly, right? But start off with making 1 appointment with yourself and making that happen. Second thing I'd recommend, right, is dream. What if? That's a good question to start off. What if I could have a 6-pack? What if my family and I were able to travel around our country, around the world? What if? You know, or what would it look like if is another phrase you could do.
Wouldn't it be cool if?
Wouldn't it be cool if? And that's a great one too. And start doing it. Just start filling in the blanks and see what flows to you. And notice if you have resistance. And that's okay. If you have resistance, just laugh at it, right? Because the resistance is, you know, your ego playing. You're going, no, you got to keep you down, got to keep you the same. So it's not something that we're really looking for. And then you ask for 3 things. The third thing is share it. Share it. You don't want to share it with your partner, totally get it. Share it in the Powerful Man community in the Facebook group, right? Make it real. Speak it out. Share it on a piece of paper. You know, share it with somebody else. Share it with your best friend. But share it. Those are the 3 things I'd recommend doing, Tim.
I like it.
All right, gentlemen, that's a wrap for us. Tim, this is a great topic. I love you bringing this to the table. I got me super excited, as you can tell. And sorry, guys, when I get excited, you can't keep me at 4x speed and listen to the podcast. One guy told me that the other day. So anyway, guys, have an amazing day. And that's a wrap. And we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. But as I always say, in the moment of insight, take massive action. You see, there are two types of men that listen to a podcast like this. Those that go on from one podcast or show to another, just hoping things are going to change and realizing that they're going to be in the same place month after month, year after year. You see, I was this guy, so I completely get it. You may just not be ready. But there's also a second man that listens to a show just like this. And this is a guy who takes massive action so they can shorten the learning curve, compress time, and get results to be the wolf. See, wolf is an acronym for wise, open, loving, and fierce. Now, ask yourself, which one am I? And just be honest with yourself there. And there's no judgment on my end, but if you're ready to move from deactivated deer mode, which is defend, excuse, explain, react, to activated wolf, wise, open, loving, and fierce, then go over to thepowerfulman.com/grow and go there now. In fact, I'll make it super easy for you. I will even put the link right in the description here so you can just click it and go over there now to learn more. Guys, in the moment of insight, take massive action. Go from deactivated to activated because like I said, life is too short for average. And I'll see you on the next episode.